How can you enjoy comics? You know, it's easy to get caught up, and right now it's a good time to ask this question because there's all these stories and these controversies and these problems. And I don't think that the problems all have to go away for you to enjoy comics. I think the problems are going to be problems. I actually find, at least for myself, that staring the problem in the face and looking at it kind of unflinchingly, I feel better about comics. It's worse when it's kind of this creeping, sinister thing in the background. But that's what this video is about. I'm hoping I also get some good comments from all of you, and then I'm going to do another video where I read through your comments and answer those questions, everything else. I need to start doing more of that because there's some really good things there. But how do we enjoy comics? Hey everybody, this is Perch. You know, I don't know if anybody else does this. So let me give some background. This video might become a bit self-indulgent. I apologize, but yeah, maybe you'll get a laugh out of all this. As you can tell with the trash audio, I make these videos kind of wherever I'm at. With the coronavirus things, I'm doing a lot more walking. So I'll walk out, I'll do a video. I try and find a place with at least a little bit less wind. Sometimes I fail with that, like I suspect right now. It's funny with videos, man. You do a video, and it's like it's not that windy, but then you listen to it later, it's like in the background. It's crazy. Anyway, sorry, I just blew some people's speakers out. But you know, in the past it was driving. It's wherever I was. And people have noticed and taken note, and I agree, you know, hey, you should really fix the audio, and you're right. I think if this was more of a career, I was taking this more seriously, I would. But at the same time, I'm you know, this is having fun. What I didn't realize is that I had a lot to say, and I'd be cranking out 2-3 of these videos a day. And I apologize to all of you for that. I'm just saying, but hopefully it's entertaining you guys and it entertains me, and it all works out in the end. But you know, when I get to that 100,000 subscriber mark, you know, and I'm raking in the big bucks, then I'd be like, aha, bitches, take this crash audio. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what I will say. But wouldn't it be funny if I did? Now picture it with somebody with a poo avatar saying that. It's pretty funny. At any rate. I've gone astray. I enjoy comics. I love comics, even when comics get me down. And there's been times, what kicked in with Warren Ellis and kind of watching the creeping advancement of a lot of this stuff, I could feel like the enjoyment barometer drop a little bit. Because it sucks the life out of you to see this stuff, especially when it's a problem you've been talking about. And I've been talking about the problems of the convention circuit, the unprofessionalism, the lack of kind of editorial standards, and how the publisher doesn't take responsibility on these things for a long time. If you've been with the channel for a while, you know, a year ago, I was talking about this stuff. So it doesn't give me delight for all this stuff to now be pouring out. But the part that depresses me is that as it's all pouring out, I also don't see the problem getting solved. I can go, well, we're still going to be dealing with this in a year because we haven't hit on the answer yet. That's the depressing part in all this. And for me personally, you know, a lot of people say, you know, Perch is a nice guy. I'd like to think so. You know, and I had this conversation with my wife recently of like, I think I'm too nice because just, you know, to give you an insight into my personal life, I get taken advantage of a lot. Meaning I'm the guy who will loan people money. I'm the guy who, you know, will help somebody out, you know, give somebody a job when I really probably shouldn't, and other things. And that's bit me in the ass, I'd say 9 times out of 10. But I keep doing it. And I keep doing it because that's how I'm wired. You know, I don't think latchkey kid is the right expression, but somebody's car alarm's just going off. See, this is a problem with walking. See, this is a authentic Perch experience right here. I think it'd be funny if I was breaking into that car. That would be a pretty good video. Anyway, I moved around a lot. So I, you know, got to see a lot of things. That's a good part. And I didn't really ever establish roots. That's the bad part. And I think that that's changed my personality a little bit. I'm you know, people say, you're a friendly guy. I'm a more down guy, to be honest. In my mind, I think a lot of people tell me I'm friendly, I'm cheerful, I'm optimistic. You know, you're always looking on the bright side of things. Half of the reason why I'm looking on the bright side of things is because I'm living the negative side of things. So I'm convincing you as much as me of like, no, it can work out. Here's some ways it can work out. I'm talking to myself like half the time. People don't realize it. But comics is a source of enjoyment. comics is a thing that I legitimately enjoy. And one of the things I enjoy about it, and I think this puts me at odds in many cases with both, the quote unquote establishment, but also the some of the people in Comicsgate and people like that, because nobody really knows what to make of me. I on one hand, I think some people are like, well, he hangs out with the wrong people. And unfortunately, both groups say that about me, right? I think, I've had good experiences running a retail shop. People who do the work to help out a retailer. People like Alana Smith, people like G. Willow Wilson, people like Rainbow Rowell, people like Matt Rosenberg, Donnie Cates. These people help comic shops. They honestly do. And I know that the experience of people on social media is different. That they've said, I've seen the tweets and I've cringed. I've seen the we will remember who voted for Trump stuff, and I think that's unprofessional and wrong, and they shouldn't do that, and everything else. But I have to balance that against the same person who's gone the extra mile to get me some promotional material, who's worked with me to help book a creator or these kinds of things, who worked past their hours, who worked arguably for nothing, to help get some things for people. So you have to reconcile these two pieces together. I can't anyway, just take a binary view of like, well, they've helped me out over here and they've sent me some items over here, and this person went out of their way and spent their own money to send me a bunch of promotional stuff, sign it, promote my shop, and other stuff. But they did block me. It's funny. I mean, I'm on one hand, I'm getting some stuff for my shop very cheerfully. And on the other hand, they're blocking the Perch account, or they're ranting about Trump, and they're saying, get out of here. You don't buy my books if you don't like my politics. Okay, I don't think it's good, but I have to. These are two parts of a puzzle. I can't just look at one piece. It's not an ad for manga. You can tell I'm wired now. My kids have so wired me into One Piece that I can hear the theme whenever I say One Piece. Old Luffy. I don't know. But again, a lot of people I don't think know what to do with me. And I think that's why I enjoy comics in this weird way. I enjoy lots of different comics, even comics I dislike, because some part of me really does enjoy the fact that I can pick up a comic, hate it. I don't like Iron Man 2020. If it's not clear from the reviews, I think it's a painful, terrible thing. But on the other hand, I'm glad that it gets produced. Which may sound weird, but I'd prefer there to be more comics, more things, including things I don't like, than if the world just, killed off everything I don't like and only produced things I like. I mean, that might be good for me as a person, but it would get boring because my tastes have changed over time. There's some comics I hated when I was younger that I came to like when I was older. Now I don't think I'm going to be liking Iron Man 2020 ever in my life, but who knows? It doesn't hurt me for it to be out there. And I've said this to both, or not both, because there's actually more than two. I've said this to all the sides. It's better that it's out there, and you ignore it. It's funny to watch people get so up in arms about the stuff that Peter Simeti did with Alterna. It's easy to ignore Alterna. It's hard to find Alterna, so it's easy to ignore Alterna. If it really bothers you, you can pretty much exercise that from your life really, really easily. You can the Jawbreakers from Richard Meyer. It's hard to actually get it, to get that comic. I mean, made harder, of course, by the whole Antarctic Wade situation, but it's hard to get that comic. So it's easy to ignore. Now, I get completely why some guy with 100,000 plus subscribers talking about hiring practices over at Marvel and based on sex and other things, why that is dumb. And why it irritates people, why it offends people, why it gets some people all worked up. I get it. You can't just turn a blind eye to everything. But on the other hand, with comics themselves, just the books, it's hard to separate the art from the artist, especially when the artist really demands that you connect the two dots. But it is easy not to read things. Whether you are really, you hate Comicsgate, it's easy to ignore those books. You hate Marvel, it's still easy to ignore those books. The books don't fly off the shelves into your bag. It's easy to just stop buying them. So to say that is positive, that's one of the things I love about comics. There is a lot out there, and it's there's not, in fact, if anything, there's not enough. And that's why at various times people have come to me and say, why are you within the comic industry. Why are you friendly? Why do you give people who are, in Comicsgate the time of day? And the answer is they're producing comics. I will give the production of comics the time of day any day because I think it's good for that work to be out there. All of it. I'd rather have it out there. And then we can pick and choose what we want to read. I think that's the strength of comics. I think that's a healthy industry. I don't want to cancel any comic, any creator. I think that publishers should enforce standards like we're talking about for creators. I absolutely think that's true. And I think if somebody's, doing things that are criminal, making a bad work environment, you shouldn't hire them. Definitely, I think that, but that's about the people. I think the comics themselves, the more comics, the better. We should have them. Now, I can already hear there's people who struggle with this because I've had this discussion before many times with all sides, and it's why I think Yellow Flash, that guy has been pissed at me at various times. I know that Tom King has been. I mean, what's weird is these groups of people have similarities. And I'm sure nobody likes to hear that, and there's like another downvote. It's funny. I've mentioned this in the past. There's always a small group of people that will go and downvote every video, even innocuous videos. And there's kind of three camps. One group is downvoting it because the audio sucks. And that group, to that group, I hear you. Totally fair. No disagreement here. You should downvote it all day long. Then there's a couple people in Comicsgate that will go on Twitter and kind of brag about downvoting it. I don't know why. I'm not sure what you're getting out of that, but if it makes you feel better, I don't care. I don't, nobody comes over to my, there's no YouTube representative that comes over to my house and beats me with a cane every time something gets downvoted. So, you can downvote it a million times. I don't care. And then there's a couple people, there's one guy, there's an Al Ewing fan. I have no idea why. But there's one Al Ewing guy on Facebook who will pop up about every 2 to 3 weeks and just talk about, it's I've got to go to over all Perch's videos and downvote them again. And I'll just, I'll see one downvote, clink, clink, clink. And, again, if it makes you happy, man, be my guest. But there is a similarity here in that, we I think as people struggle with what we don't understand and what we don't like, and I think we have this built-in kind of knee-jerk feeling that if that there's not enough room for everybody, so therefore if there's something you really don't like, you should kind of dig your heels in and get rid of it, because it's taking up space. It's taking up space that something else could get. And I'm not sure that's entirely true. I mean, put it this way: if Marvel decides to cancel this new Warriors book that isn't going to sell, it's not like that's people are going to turn around and say, "Hey, let's give Chuck Dixon a book." That's not going to happen. So I don't think it's either or. I think it comes down to, as consumers, you should buy what you like. You should talk about what you love. You should make fun of what you don't. I actually think there's humor. I've avoided. I think I would do pretty funny roasts, but I think that's very off-brand for what I try and do here. But I don't say any buts. I'm not going to get into that. But I think it'd be funny. I mean, I can take the piss out of anything. Comics I love. In fact, the comics that I can roast the best are often the ones I love the most, because I have a deeper connection to the comics, so I can do some pretty biting stuff against it. That tends to be how it works. I think the stuff you truly hate, it's hard to roast it. It's just you just can't. But anyway, that's not why people come to this channel. And there's no gift in it. There's no value in it. But I think there's a lot of things to love about comics. But I think it starts with, the more comics there are, the more opportunities, the more ideas are out there. And so at some point, I always hope that people can rally around this idea of, hey, we may not like what everybody's doing. We may not like what each other's doing. But we can kind of come together around some ideas to get more out there, to figure out digital, to figure out indie markets, to figure out cheaper ways to print, distribute, to figure out cheaper ways to for customers to come in and start reading comics. It would be wise if we all tried to focus on that goal first, and then brought the ideology and other stuff into that later. Nobody wants to listen to me with this anyway, but I mean, if you're a dyed-in-the-wool kind of right-wing guy, then, make sure you at least find a couple sensible liberal people on the other side who could be your friends and get their point of view every now and then. It helps. I think bubbles I mean, the worst thing when you talk about toxic fans or toxic creators or any of that kind of stuff, the most toxic thing in the world is a bubble. When you just stop listening to any alternate opinion at all, I think it makes your own opinions weaker. Kind of like I said at the beginning. I think your ideas are stronger when they're tested. That's comics. You know, comics are better when there's more out there. That's my view. Now, you know, man, I'm telling all of you, if I ever see you at con, I will buy you a beer because I'm that kind of guy. Or if you don't drink beer, I'll buy you some whiskey. Or more importantly, Patron. Patron, the tequila that makes friends, that bonds bridges, that turns enemies into comrades. Patron. Anyway, I think that if we could all sit around a table and drink some Patron, you know, I know there's way better tequila out there. I know it's a bit. If we could all have a beer, if we could do that, I think we'd be in a better spot because I believe that our similarities are a lot closer than our differences. That's my opinion. That's another thing I love about comics is despite all the noise, despite everything else, I do believe that. Maybe that's the naive fool in me. Could be. So help set me straight. What are the things you love about comics? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Somebody explain to me why everybody hates me. That'd be good too. In the comments below. I'm just kidding. I enjoy irritating all sides. I would be lying if I said I didn't. It puts a smile on my face when I drive people crazy. It's very, very true. It's who I am. I like testing. I'm not contrarian. Exactly, but I do like testing opinions, and it's how I learn myself. But that said, I'm pretty confident for 99% of you, if we met up at a con, we'd have a beer, we'd smile, we'd laugh, it'd be a good time. And I hope I get to do that with everybody. So let me have your ideas below. It'd be great to have them. Sorry for this rambling bit, but like I said, I get these ideas sometimes, and I don't record them, and they're way better, by the way, before I record them. Way, way better. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. We get around to it eventually. Like, subscribe, or don't. Get your downvotes in. Hey, buddy, you 3 people out there, you're slacking. I've seen some videos come through with 100%. Where are you? Get in there and do that downvote. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch. And thanks for listening.